This story is brought to you by HelloDearReader.com.
A loud knock on the heavy wooden door of the tower made the dragon and the princess look up from their tea and cakes. They looked at each other. The knock came again. "Were you expecting anyone?" "Skull, the dragon," asked the princess. "No, this is your tower." Princess Penelope sneered back, "Were you?" "No, who visits a dragon?" Skull leaned over and looked down at the door below them. He saw a tall man in bright red and black clothes. He was wearing a crown. "I think it's your father." "What?" Princess Penelope yelled. "I can hear you," shouted the man up at the two. "I think he heard you," Skull said. "No, duh." Princess Penelope rose from her chair and walked to the edge. She looked over and down at her father. "I'm not marrying the prince," she shouted down at him. "I don't like him." "That's fine with me," shouted back the king. "I was dropping off a few of your things." "What?" the dragon and the princess shouted. "We don't need you to marry the prince," shouted the king, looking pleased with himself. "Why not?" "Am I not good enough for the louse?" shouted Princess Penelope. Skull looked at the princess and said, "You know you paid me to abduct you, so you didn't have to marry him. Aren't you pleased you don't have him?" "Stay out of this, reptile," hissed Penelope. "No, we only needed a marriage to have an alliance with the neighboring kingdom," shouted to the king. "We got a wedding tomorrow." "Who's getting married?" shouted the princess. "Your brother." "Apparently, the prince didn't want to marry you because he's gay," shouted the king. "So, your brother will marry him." They are both rather thrilled at the prospect. The princess and the dragon both looked down at the king, surprised. "Gay," shouted the princess. "Yep. So, we good?" The king shouted back up. "I left you some clothes. Bye." "Father." "Wait." The princess shouted, but the king had quickly mounted his horse and rode away. The princess shouted a slew of curse words at him. When she was sure he couldn't hear her anymore, she shouted at the dragon, "Well, great. Thanks a lot, you big snake. What am I going to do now?" "Well, I'm thinking dinner," the dragon said. The princess huffed at the dragon, "I'm not hungry." "Yes, but I am." The dragon smiled.
Hope you enjoyed the story. Please like and share. See more stories at HelloDearReader.com.